So just broadly speaking, the project is a 30-month project running from January 2020 until June 2022. And it's through its open calls will be funding EU-based researchers and innovators in carrying out next-generation internet-related experiments in collaboration with US research teams. So there will be 5 open calls in total throughout the life of the project. And I'll discuss the mechanisms in the open calls in a few moments. So just some of the key features, as I mentioned, there'll be 5 open calls run in pretty much in a sequence with about a two-month period in between them, just to allow the starting up of the winning projects in the previous open call. There's 2.8 million euros funding in total for the 5 open calls. So it's an indicative amount of approximately 600K per open call. And the we also have an external advisory group and our external pool of evaluators that evaluate proposals. And there's a twinning lab, which I'll describe in the next slide. And then importantly here, we also do continuous coaching and mentoring throughout the pre-proposal phase. So this webinar is part of that, and we also answer questions on email, and also, if appropriate, we have one-to-one calls with potential proposers. The Twinning Lab is a place where you can potentially find a partner that is looking to find another partner on either side of the Atlantic. So it's an area where you can put some profile information, and then you can make contact directly with the partners that are looking for complementary partnerships. So this has been quite effective already. There's been a number of dialogues happening between different proposers. Okay, so we invite you to participate to the Twinning Lab. Just some of the statistics. So as I mentioned, the first open call is running at the moment. It'll be closing on the 29th of May at 1700 CEST. The evaluation will take place in June 2020. Total indicative funding 600K, and the expected start date of projects 1st of July. And we'll discuss in a few moments, due to the COVID-19 crisis, of course, we might have to be flexible on this. There's 2 types of proposals. There's what we call the long-term, or LT, which have a maximum contract duration of 6 months with a monitoring frequency of monthly and a funding range of 50,000 to 150,000. Then the short-term contributions project would be a maximum duration of 3 months with a monitoring frequency of fortnightly with a range of 25,000 to 75,000. Then the eligible costs are personnel, direct costs, which include personnel and travel, and then a flat rate indirect cost similar to the H2020 flat rate system. In terms of the open call topics, the strategy here has been to focus on the call topics that already have some results coming out. So in the NGI initiative, there has been 4 projects already starting in 2019, and these projects already have some results coming out. So the idea would be then that they could take their work to the next level in teaming up with some excellent US-based partners to run some experiments with their results. Now, obviously, our open calls are open to new entrants as well. It's not just a project that is for the current running projects. It's open to anyone that would like to participate. So the call topics are privacy and trust enhancing technologies, and again with a focus on experimentation of results on these. Decentralized data governance, so the leveraging this distributed open hardware and software ecosystems based on blockchains, distributed ledger technologies, open data, and peer-to-peer technologies, and with a specific focus on sort of the human human and societal values that we hold dear in the EU. And then the third is on discovery and identification technologies, so better ways of search and discovery, accessing large heterogeneous data sources, services, etc. Then in terms of experimental platforms, we just have a number of samples here. It's not exhaustive, obviously. So on the EU side, there would be perhaps some of the former FIRE, Future Internet Research Experimentation activities, which then became sort of known as the NGI EXP. Then there's the Fed for Fire Plus, which you'll hear more about today, which is, excuse me, still up and running, and a very, very good platform for this kind of activity. 5G PPP, amongst others. And on the US side, you have the NSF-funded wired and wireless programs, such as Enter and Genie, and a new one that started a few months ago called Fabric and Future Cloud Platform. Then you have the platforms for advanced wireless research on the wireless side, and you'll be hearing about the Powder platform today. And then there's also the Cosmos platform of Rutgers University and Columbia University as well. Then others like US Ignite, and then there was a call in 2018 from the NSF called Internet Core and Edge Technology Program, which was dedicated US EU. So some of these projects from ICE-T are still up and running, and they're actually looking for some EU partners. And we're compiling these links in our twinning lab. So just some example on the types of projects. So an example might be an innovator in the EU has developed an NGI-based solution to improve new ways of search and discovery, teaming up with a US-based experimental platform funded by the NSF. So that could be a possible teaming. And then likewise, you could also have an innovator in the US funded by NSF that's developed NGI-based solutions on decentralized data governance that wants to team up with an EU-based partner who's also developed similar solutions, and team up for development and testing on an EU-based experimental platform such as Fed for Fire. Now, in both of these examples, according to the funding rules in the EU-US implementation agreement, NGI Atlantic would only fund the EU-based partners, and the US partners will receive funding from their usual sources in the US, either under their existing projects or try to seek new projects.